Welcome back to another episode of Steaming. Bleh. Welcome back to another episode of Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Tucker.
And it's not Monday. Or maybe we want them to believe it's Monday. Maybe it is Monday.
How would they know?
They wouldn't. The episode comes out when it comes out, and when it was recorded is irrelevant.
That's true. That's very true.
That's the beauty of it. It's a time capsule for a time they don't even know.
Just a couple
maybe
weeks.
It's this year. Maybe it was 2 years ago.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we take the entire thing, every episode we've recorded, and we take them private to be released 50 years into the future.
I think that would be really avant-garde, of just talking about current events, but it isn't current anymore.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but it does serve the time capsule purpose.
Or we could record an episode that entirely references things that didn't happen but could have.
Ooh.
Like if we were to hop on and be like, wow, Zac Efron's really embodying Marilyn Monroe by having an affair with President Tulsi Gabbard. Like, it's like, it makes sense. They bonded over surfing, but like, no one saw that coming.
No, yeah. And that's a thing that definitely happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would screw everyone up. That would be great. have to go through the whatever the internet looks like then. Is that true? I mean, they'll be let's be honest, 2070 just bathed in misinformation. So it very well could have been separately, independently published that story is true. You put infinity monkeys in typewriters, you will get Zac Efron having an affair with Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
Gubbard. I don't know the vowel, but
close enough. I mean, yeah. She's only the first woman president, Tucker. Why would you bother to learn her name?
I know I have to get used to it. I'm sorry. It's just I keep thinking of Gabrielle Giffords.
Yeah, no, totally different. Believe it or not, all female politicians are not one and the same. Like,
oh, I have an apology to send to Elizabeth Warren. Yikes. I thought she was the Alaskan governor. My bad.
I mean, they do kind of have the same glasses.
Well, there you go. You can't fault me for not.
Yeah. I mean, if eyes are the window to the soul and they both have glasses on, that's basically like having the same billboard.
Sure. Yeah, that's, yeah.
The same curtains, I should say. Or can I say, because, yeah. No. Okay. So we're back to women shouldn't be in politics.
Not if we're going to talk about them like that.
No. But I am a woman, so if anyone can, it's me, because that's how that works.
Oh, that's true.
I can never tell. Once I put the headphones on, I can never tell if it's my cats jumping on the upholstered chair or if it's someone knocking on the door. And I'm just going to treat it like the cats are just climbing up the chairs.
Look, Lauren, if you get murdered while we're recording, it's fine. 'Cause
it's good content. We've talked about this.
Yeah, it's fantastic content. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. That's like a real life very special episode. You can play like those very important chimes at the end and it slowly fade out while zooming in on you, and it's like an important lesson.
I'll just be Lauren, are you okay, Lauren? On my on my screen it looks like I'm looking at you.
Right, yeah. Yeah. And depending on how it goes, I mean, like, my murderer could hop on the podcast as well, and
I'd like to get their take on things,
Right, yeah. It's like, why me, why now? There are so many questions that could be asked, and really it's like true crime as it happens, and in a way that no one's ever done before. So
it's revolutionary.
Yeah.
How far away do you think we are from like actually seeing that on television? To Catch a Predator's close, but that's not murder. So
I mean, we get pretty close with guys live streaming their murder sprees.
That's happened a couple times. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
but we don't get like we don't get the interview afterwards.
True. And from what I understand of the film Nightcrawler, I think that's what that movie's about. Like, he's an ambulance chaser, correct?
Yeah.
So that's probably also as close as we get to it.
But I want more. I want to know the motivations,
in the moment.
the feeling, I want to know that, some serial killer's mother looked just like the victim, and that's the motivation, right? That's runs a restaurant, and that's why you keep, a whole bunch of, legs in the fridge. You got the space.
I have been told I have very generic features, so I could look like all kinds of people's moms.
It's a miracle you're still alive.
I know.
Yikes. Oh.
I think what has protected me thus far is my smile. While, effervescent does not necessarily light up a room, that is one of the qualifiers. And I don't jog.
What?
Well, like, anytime they do, like, a true crime documentary, right, and they talk about the victim, it's usually, like, she had a smile that lit up the room. Oftentimes, the victim will go out jogging. I was listening to cases today, in fact.
Oh.
Yeah, where a woman was just, like, out running, and this guy pulled up in a van and tried to kidnap her.
It's just easy.
Yeah.
You're in a van. What? How are you going to outrun a van?
Slash the tires.
You're jogging. You carry a tire slashing knife?
You can't just expect women probably do.
You can't just expect any pocket knife to get through a tire. Tires
that
are
is
thick.
True.
You got to have like a thick boy to like.
Ooh, a box cutter. That's what I need.
Ooh, well, box cutter not for tires, but for throats. 100%. Just Uno reverse. Serial kill him right back. Not today.
Oh, you're kidnapping me? I'm sorry, I'm kidnapping you, actually.
Two kidnappers walk into a bar.
And in situations like that, I think that's where you have to go with, like, the body language superiority Olympics, where, like, if you're going to shake hands with a fellow kidnapper, you got to make sure your hand is on top. If they get their hand on top, you got to put your hand on their shoulder. And then it all matters on who opens the door and who lets the other go first.
That's true. That's interesting. Like the escalation of like, you get the handshake, then the shoulder. What comes after that? Because you can have handshake and then cross shoulder. But what comes after that to beat that?
I think if one person face caress is a power move. One that's not often used just because of its power. Like, that changes all kinds of dynamics when you do that. Yeah. I think otherwise you have to go for the full hug, which is extremely awkward, but It is a retaliatory move. I think the forehead kiss, also a very risky move if it goes wrong. But it could pay off in a really big way.
That's true.
Like, can you imagine world politics if, like, Emmanuel Macron kissed Modi on the forehead?
Because I have to picture it now you've said it. And that would be wild. That would be pretty cool. That would be where, like, professional news organizations and tabloid magazines, that's the intersection. We found it. Yeah. That's the acceptable intersection.
If Joe Biden kissed Kim Jong-un on the forehead,
he would.
Yes, because of, like, the grandfather impulse. So there's already, like, an age dynamic at play. But then if Joe Biden kissed Kim Jong-un, I think we could solve the North Korean issue.
I think so.
Yeah.
Why hasn't anyone tried it?
I don't know. I think people have been afraid. I think it seemed a little... Because like American people, we don't do like the European kissing thing. So like
Right.
in Europe, kissing is not as much of a power move as it is to non-European countries.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think it can make the big difference.
In
But there are also
Korea-
various handshakes that can display even more kinds of power. Like one handshake that I've never forgotten because it was so powerful, and it only works if both parties are wearing long sleeves. But you go in for the handshake and you completely skip the hand and send your arm up the sleeve.
What the hell?
Exactly.
That's you lose. There's nothing beyond that. No, there is. Right? So whether you're in a handshake or someone has sleeved you, you can then retaliate, right? By just giving their arm or hand a little tickle.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Well, hey, bud.
Yeah. Or if you check their pulse. I've seen that as a power move where you like just put your fingers against their pulse.
Yeah.
But that I think it has to come with like a comment where it's like, oh, your pulse is good today. Or, oh, your pulse jumped a couple of beats. Are you okay? If you say that, now you're the doctor. You have outranked whoever you're talking to.
Oh my god. These are like some of the creepiest power moves.
It's all psychological. It's and a lot of like pickup artists will use these, right? Or like those motivational guy speakers that are all about like money, women, and power or whatever. And as I think with guys like that, you have to use psychological warfare from the beginning, from the handshake.
You could hit them with like one of those secret handshakes that they just don't know, so they're just following. You know,
So they look to be out of the
what's
loop.
up? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's especially important if you plant someone ahead of time who also knows the handshake, like from the go. And so it's like, oh, suddenly that guy's not the cool guy because he didn't know the handshake, but this other guy did.
It's the no soap radio tactic. Yeah. No, we're learning so much today. With a few simple tricks, we can rule the world.
Exactly. And I feel like, in this quarantine space, there's not a lot of opportunity to exercise these things because we're not meeting people. We're certainly not shaking hands. So a lot of these power moves will have to be adapted for a handshakeless world. So then the next move is how do we advance the power plays in a teleconference world?
Teleconference. I think louder, better image, having no glitches. I think if you are leading the meeting and you have a glitch or your internet starts to spaz out or you don't know where the screen share button is, instant loss.
Yeah.
Oh, you look like a wimp.
Instantly.
There are ways to assert dominance over a Zoom meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With the image, if you are the first person to turn on camera, instant power move, especially if no one else has their camera on.
Hell yeah.
And if it's a meeting where everyone has camera on, camera off.
You don't know what I look like.
Yeah. You don't know how I live. And that's the thing that's bugged me is like the whole idea that we have to have cameras on in our own home. It's like it's bad enough I've had to bring work into my house, which isn't that big. And so it's like, oh, you mean my house has to be professional, or at least a quarter of my house has to be professional?
It's too much to ask.
Yeah.
It's too much to ask. See, I'm lucky. The culture at my company and team don't turn the cameras on. You just don't do it. You just don't do it.
A couple of people on the client side will have their cameras on, but I think like once in April, our director tried to use cameras for meetings. Never after that.
Get out of here with that.
Because I was adamant, you don't get to see where I live. exactly one person from work has seen the inside of my apartment, and that was because she was coming over to feed my cats.
Well, there you go. That's a good reason.
Yeah.
The chosen one, the cat feeder.
Mm-hmm. It's a privileged position.
Yeah, it's an honor, but it's also a lot of pressure, because if you kill someone else's cat.
Oh yeah, I'm petrified of doing that to my own animals.
Oh, well, sure. I mean, if you do it, then it's like, oh, I should have fed them, right? You can only get mad with yourself. There is no ceiling to how mad you can get with somebody else for killing. I'm currently watching The Office, and there is an episode of The Office where this happens. Dwight kills Angela's cat.
Is this before or after they date?
This is the end. This is what caused the end. Well, because he says, "Oh, your cat Sprinkles died," and because the cat was like sick, right? Your cat Sprinkles died. But what he doesn't tell her is that he put the cat in the freezer to put it out of its misery.
No.
But the cat was like fine. There were like scratch marks, and there's because he's a farm boy, and that's what you do. You put animals down when they're suffering. But like the cat wasn't suffering. That's the thing. It's some classic sitcom miscommunication. I have to side with all of the girls on Tinder, though. The Office is a good show. I am enjoying it quite a bit. I'm almost done with season 5. I like it. You got me.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like a show doesn't get that many seasons and have that much staying power by being bad or average.
Friends. Checkmate! That was easy. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, my roommate and I back in college, we would have friends on just while we were doing homework, and it'd be like 10 or 11 at night, and we would engage with it only to clap during the theme song and then ignore it for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Because it is just like perfect background noise. Nothing consequential happens. You don't have to pay attention to any of the dialogue. You can pretty much guess what's happening based on who's in the space and what they're wearing.
Yep.
So it's innocuous as far as background noise goes. And yeah, no, The Office, I think I tried watching, and I'm sure it's one of those things where it's like, oh, start with season 2. And it's like, I think the formula gets improved on in later iterations of that style show.
Yeah, season 1 straight up sucks because they tried very hard to mimic British Office. And that just didn't play with the writers, the actors, or the audience. So in season 2, they really kind of, I guess, overhauled it, and it's far better. Far better. Sure. Have you reached the point where Robert California is a player in this game? No, that's much later. I'm
okay.
Only at season 5.
Because I was gonna ask where you stand on Robert California, because I don't have a very like deep attachment to the show or the characters. I actually think Robert California's scenes are hilarious.
That's James Spader, right? Yeah. I've only ever seen him in The Blacklist. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing him in a comedy role. Because he's super talented.
He's kind of fantastic. Yeah, because he brings, like, because, like, Michael's uncomfortable, and that's part of, like, the whole shtick. Robert California is also uncomfortable, but in, like, a threatening way. Well, and I say threatening, and it's, like, it's still within sitcom metrics. And it's just, it's so fantastic. It's just so absurd.
All right. I'll get there.
Because I know that, like, he comes in, and a lot of people dislike his episodes, I think because he replaces Steve Carell for a bit. But no, I love the concept and execution of Robert California. Like, just the name itself. Anytime someone is named after, like, a state or a day or a month, it's like, okay, you're bringing something. Your parents saw fit to name you after something very commonplace. What's going on?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to trudge through these long shows just to say I did it. I don't know. I don't know, because I consume a lot of television, so the background
Sure.
noise, like you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
this falls in that category off The Office. But again, The Office is something that you can only you only need to expend like a third of your brain power
Oh, yeah.
to like completely grok. Whereas Friends, you probably don't have to expend any.
No. Unless you're like writing about it for something.
I think I'd rather die. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of 90s television, it is certainly not my go-to ever.
What is your go-to for 90s television? Sitcom.
News radio.
News radio?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good choice.
And it's not one that people are often familiar with, but like the cast lineup is ridiculous. It's like Dave Foley and Phil Hartman and Stephen Root. But then also Joe Rogan is on the show. Like Joe Rogan our age.
Oh.
Which is weird.
That is weird. Huh.
Yeah, and some of the things they do with like conventions, even of that time, are kind of cool because like the romantic leads of the show, they're not like a will they won't they couple the whole time. Like they hook up like episode 1 or 2, and so most of the tension around their relationship revolves around, you know, he's the boss of the office and she's not. So like how long do they keep it a secret? How do they play the politics of like, well, if I promote you and everyone finds out we're dating, what does that say?
Sounds interesting.
It ends up being tragic because between seasons 4 and 5, Phil Hartman's murdered. So they kind of have to deal with that, and so season 5 feels awkward as a result. But it's still worth the watch. There's lots of like in jokes that the guy who owns the radio station is DB Cooper or he's Deep Throat. So
Okay. I'll have to add it to my list then. My very long includes friends list. That's.
oh gosh.
We'll get through them.
Yeah.
We'll get through them.
I recently started Veep, which is a much newer show than I thought it was.
Oh, very new. Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, it to me was in like a pre-Parks and Recreation even.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah. So the fact that it's like recently throws me through a loop.
There's a lot of Veep. I didn't know that. I had seen like the first 2 seasons. Then I stopped, and it turns out they just kept making more, and I didn't know about it. So I was like, oh, God, I guess I got to start from scratch. That's one of those where I don't want to put it on in the background. That's when I actually want to watch.
Yeah, it reminds me of Parks and Recreation, which is just because it's, you know, a high achieving female in politics. But the stakes are different. And I enjoy that. I like the running gag of her asking if the president's called yet, and they always say no.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's. I'm glad that Julia Louis-Dreyfus had a. Because what was she in between Seinfeld and Veep? She was in The New Adventures of Old Christine. I don't know if that was any good or not, but you don't hear about it anymore, so I can only assume that it wasn't like, you know, Seinfeld or Veep level.
Probably.
So I'm glad she got to lead in a show that was good.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's really talented. So like,
she's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I want to add New Adventures of Old Christine to my list? What am I? 24?
I mean, at this point, you're just
have
watching. Yeah, it's like at this point, you're just watching every show ever made, every scripted show ever made, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, for the ones that just kind of are on in the background, that's, you know, that's fine. You go through them like water.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I just started The Sopranos. They're hour-long episodes. It's been a while since I've gone back to hour-long episode shows.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be long. Like a thing. Yeah. So
I started watching Nathan For You as well.
Very
And
good.
the concept is fantastic.
Oh, yes.
It's a beautiful blend of like surrealist comedy business and documentary, and it's so fantastic. He has like the weirdest energy, but it works so well.
Yeah.
And it just kind of proves if someone you think has authority tells you to do something, you're probably gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah. He knows the power moves. He knows the sleeve arm tickle.
He does.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he did to like the mall Santa.
Yikes. Of all the people to do it to, I don't know, man. I don't know. But hey, it works for him. Works for the business owners sometimes.
It does. Sometimes. I mean, because a lot of it seems almost ahead of the curve because it's a lot of like gimmicky things that businesses try to do. But he somehow manages to make it seem extremely natural and doesn't feel like corporate at all. Maybe it's just because he's helping like small businesses and he's not trying to do it at a corporate level.
Oh yeah, it could be. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I Nathan Fielder has like, if you have like the chaotic television host spectrum, Nathan is like on the lawful side where Eric Andre is on the chaotic side.
Yeah.
Because I think they occupy a very similar space. But Nathan like cares about like cultural niceties and societal conventions.
What, and Eric doesn't?
No. From the McDonald's prank, I'm gonna say no.
Which one was the McDonald's prank?
It was one that was unaired.
Oh, what happened? I think I remember it.
I vaguely remember. The only thing that's coming to mind though is the vine of the guy dressed like Ronald McDonald shattering glass on the floor and screaming. That's the only thing that's coming to mind. That's not what happens, I don't think, but. One of my favorite Eric Andre bits, though, is where he goes to try and, like, hold other people's babies, and even he can't do it. Because at one point he's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
If it's too weird for Eric, then it's,
yes.
That's like the objective weird ceiling. If it's not okay with him...
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty much willing to do anything. So.
I am fascinated, and this seems to be a very, like, uniquely male host thing, but I'm fascinated by, like, the inhibition to just do whatever. I watched a whole video about, like, the philosophy of Jackass, and just watching some of the things they got up to, like, I was in awe of just how ridiculous and how dangerous, but how amazing it was. And the same thing with, like, some of Sacha Baron Cohen's stuff, is, like, the commitment required.
Oh, my God, yeah. Sacha Baron Cohen is a god. Like, how does he do it? How can he stay in character in such intense situations? That is a skill I can only aspire to. Like, honestly.
It might be the clown college thing.
Did he go to clown college?
I can't remember if it was clown college or if he, like, apprenticed under, like, a famous clown or mime or something. But I imagine that was probably where it came from.
Huh.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What was it? Right?
That makes sense.
Because I feel like clowns have to have a level of commitment that other entertainers don't have to.
I feel like the people who work at Disney will have a similar level of commitment. The Disney characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, certainly.
Like, especially the ones that aren't in costume. That's pretty good. Good for you guys. You are killing it out there.
Oh, yeah. He took clown training in Paris at the École Philippe Gaulier, studying under master clown Philippe Gaulier.
Wow.
Of his former pupil, Gaulier says he was a good clown, full of spirit.
That's high praise from a French clown, I think.
Oh, my word. He looks incredible. You'll have to put up a picture of Philippe Gaulier in the thing. Because this man, like, just his image alone is incredible.
I will put it in. But yeah, again, it makes sense that he attended clown school and studied under a well-known clown. it's a dying art, clown
It
ship.
is. It is. Scott Kramer actually has a very in-depth video on how rigorous getting into clown college is. Like, it is one of the most exclusive pursuits one could take.
What does it take to get into clown college?
It's, oh gosh, I can't remember all of the details, but it's like, it's a whole audition thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you kind of have to be in before you turn 28, because like if you don't make it before then, like your opportunity is passed. And it's like the percentage of people who get into clown college, it's so low.
Yeah.
And you would think it's like, well, it's because not many people are going to clown college. It's like, no, it's still a lot of people applying to clown college, but the percentage is not great.
Wow, that's I mean, I guess if they just let anybody be a clown, that's just,
It's a disrespect to the profession.
damn straight. Damn straight.
Yeah.
What if the same thing exists for mimes?
Oh, probably.
I feel like
Well, because like miming is a type of clown foolery.
I suppose it is. Yes.
And in some respects, and there's probably like varying philosophies on it, it seems like people who do comedy for a living take it extremely seriously.
Oh God, yeah.
Because like
God, yeah.
Christopher Guest takes like his stuff very seriously. I've heard Mike Myers is kind of a nightmare to work with because of like the standards he puts on the various takes for his movies.
Makes sense. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I've really never interfaced with a big time comedian.
Yeah.
One of my teachers in high school was a comedian, but like a regional comedian. Very good, but like, regional comedian.
Well, yeah, even having any regional acclaim is pretty good.
Yeah, no, he's a funny guy. Creative writing class.
Oh, that's a good fit.
Yes, yeah. And just language arts in general, but I took his creative writing class. It was fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can imagine really at any level you would take that kind of craft seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with when it's so competitive to begin with. After a point, you do have to take it seriously. So I don't know, like, what the balance is.
Yeah. Because it's like, it is more or less Hollywood. It's the movie industry.
Yeah.
Right? So it's always going to be competitive, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be who you know, of course. But I'm just trying to think, because you hear more stories about how comedians come up from like local club circuits into the big time more than you do actors, or I guess nowadays you hear that more about musicians, but you never really hear that about actors. Is that true?
Yes, because, well, I don't know, because like with comedy, that's really easy to like film your bits, even if you're not doing a bit in like Chicago or a major city. You can still film that and put that online, and it's easy because it's just you. Whatever your jokes are, you can gain more exposure that way. And I think some comedians on Saturday Night Live have started from that position.
Of course, yeah.
But with like dramatic acting, I mean, who really watches like short films and is like, we need to put that person in our movie?
Yep.
Because so much of that is image based. Like, comedians don't have to look good.
That's true.
But actors have to be pretty so we can make them ugly and win an award.
Every Meryl Streep film.
Yes. Yeah.
Meryl Streep is very pretty, unless she's on camera.
Yeah, there are a handful of actresses that it's like, wow, You pretended to be ugly. We're gonna give you an award because that worked for Charlize Theron. I think Monster was her first Oscar,
Mm.
and Anne Hathaway won her Oscar for Les Mis.
Oh yeah, yeah. She was pretty ugly in that. Yeah. It's interesting. Although not really. It makes sense. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of my favorite details about like historical biopics, where we see who plays them in the movie, and then we see like the actual picture.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, wow.
There's also always the trope of like, I guess it's not so common anymore, at least in, what's the word I'm looking for? Good films. But the like, you have this character, often a girl, often ugly, and then toward the end of the film she is no longer ugly.
Yes.
And like in the big dough moment, like, so I mean, obviously you got to cast someone hot in that. But what is the difference between roles like that and roles that win awards? That they never become pretty? That they never turn back into a princess from the frog? Is that...
Well, part of it is, I think, like, usually where the girl is ugly and then becomes pretty, it's a comedy, and comedies don't win anything ever.
That's true. Joker won. Or Joaquin Phoenix won for Joker.
That is a rare movie where the memes actually carry the film. Because the memes we got out of that film make the film worth its existence.
100%.
That and Hildegardnadottir's score. That was actually pretty good.
The score was pretty good. Yeah. A little monotonous at times, but I think that was the point.
Yeah. Goodness. And there were even memes that just came out of people's earnest enjoyment of the film. There was some poor guy who clearly connected with the film, and he had posted like the scene where he's like going down the stairs and the bells start playing, and I forget the exact phrasing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Okay. So yeah, he's going down the stairs. He's a bad guy now. The Dance of Freedom, the Death Bells, the Rising of the Joker. One of the most magnificent, sublime, monumental, extraordinary scenes in cinema history.
It's a bold statement, but okay.
It is. To their credit, they do say one of the most.
That implies like top 10. There's a lot of cinema out there.
There's so much. I think if the film had taken itself a little less seriously, it could have been great.
Mm-hmm.
But it borders on like Neil Breen territory because it takes itself so seriously.
Yeah. Kept a good movie from becoming great, which happens. Yeah.
It does.
Can't win them all, I suppose. But I mean, the trailer generated a whole lot of like hype.
Oh yeah.
Right? I think the trailer was edited so well.
Very much so. Well, and I think people expected it to be more of a thing than it was, because I mean, like, every major news network was like leaning over their mics waiting for someone to like completely snap during a screening. So they can immediately be like, whoa, look, we warned you all.
Whoa. Oh dear. Oh no, can't believe this happened. Uh-oh. It's I'm a big fan of The Newsroom.
Oh,
but
yeah.
there is a movie called Network.
Yes.
That is of similar, I guess, of similar design. But I guess far more cynical. Far more cynical.
Like, the back half of the 70s was so cynical.
Oh my god, maybe that's why I like those films. I'm trying to figure out why I like late 70s cinema. It's like, is it all because it's just super cynical?
Well, I mean, it's a post Watergate, post Vietnam world.
Oh yeah.
And everything's collapsing.
Hell yeah.
And they're starting to realize, oh, there's this thing called the environment that we're wrecking. And Jimmy Carter's our president.
They knew since the 70s? Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. We used to watch the Carol Burnett show. We had, like, DVDs upon DVDs of that. And at, like, the end, she would, like, say goodnight to the audience and stuff. And occasionally she'd be like, oh, we only have one planet. Take care of it.
And here we are, what, 50 years later?
Yes.
Yeah. Good job, gang.
Yep.
Yay.
Stupendous, spectacular. Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll love to see it, I guess. I don't know.
And what blows my mind is, like, cynicism as a philosophy has existed for literally thousands of years, right? Because, like, ancient Greeks were cynics. And I'm like, what did you have to be cynical about? How could you have been cynical when there's a madman running around in a barrel carrying around chickens to throw at other philosophers? Like,
well, I mean, the Greeks, Greek cynicism is completely different from, like, modern cynicism. But B,
no.
What did the Greeks have to be cynical about? What did they have? What was? I mean, Greece, Rome, they were always like a couple years away from political upheaval, right?
Oh, I mean, I guess.
Like, they
invented democracy only to immediately destroy it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's just going to happen. You know?
Democracy is a race to the bottom.
Anyway, here we are in America. But
yeah,
so I don't even remember what we were talking about. Something about chickens.
Oh, yeah, no, Diogenes. Diogenes is, like, the only one that I can, like, he's the only one whose philosophy I've, like, actually heard associated with him recently. Because he had this whole shtick where he was like, I'm going to get rid of all of my earthly possessions. Mm-hmm. And he'd gotten himself down to just, like, a bowl, and that was all he had. And then he saw, like, a kid drink water with his hands, and then he got rid of the bowl too. And he would look at animals and he'd be like, animals have it made. They don't care about what time it is.
Yeah, they're
just doing what they do.
That's true.
He also had the banger line of, in a rich man's house, there is no place to spit but his face.
Ooh, that's good.
Right?
That's spicy. I like it.
Yeah.
You go, Diogenes. God damn, that's
great.
Good.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. There's so many, I guess, great thinkers, and you only really know about the big three. You only ever really talk about the big three in, like, commonly, right? Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. In that order? Maybe in that order.
Something like that. But, like, even with those big three, I know more about, like, what Plato wrote than Socrates and Aristotle. Because, like, Plato, I could at least be like, oh, the cave and the Republic.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Socrates ever wrote anything.
Oh, that may be the thing.
I think Plato wrote everything that Socrates said.
Something like that.
I don't remember his name. It starts with a C. But yeah, no. Everything about Socrates that we know is secondhand account.
The Socratic method.
Why?
It is a cool method. Like, I respect the concept, is because I think a lot of people hold ideas that they don't even really believe because they haven't, like, been pressed to say anything about it.
Yeah. Don't believe everything you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's been a fun exercise because I bought Jordan Peterson's books just because.
Sure.
And honestly, the most disarming thing about them is a lot of it is like the typical Canadian psychology wonk I was expecting. But then sometimes he would use literally the like colon and close parentheses. He would put that in the text. And I'm like, Dr. Peterson, you're a doctor.
Hey, at least he's not using emojis.
No, not full emojis, just emoticons. And you cannot imagine the like slap across the face it was to know that like the whole lobster thing was not a joke. The first chapter of the book opens with essentially consider the mighty lobster, and he goes on for like 12 pages about lobster hierarchy.
This sounds like Les Mis, where you just talk about nothing for like the first quarter of a book.
Well,
and then it's only vaguely tangentially related.
That's, yeah.
Is that Jordan Peterson?
It kind of is, because the book is 12 Rules for Life, and you would think 12 rules, this book should not be 400 pages, but it is.
Oof.
And I get it, he wants to, like, encapsulate these rules in, like, psychological concepts or parables or stories or whatever, and show, like, here's this rule in action and why it will help you. But, like, the second rule was, you know, like, keep your shoulders... Or no, the second rule was take care of yourself as if you were someone else. In the sense of, like, a lot of people don't take care of themselves, but if, like, their dog had to go to the vet, they would bend over backwards to make sure their dog was okay.
Yeah.
So he goes to the creation of the universe as told by Genesis 1 and spends 20 pages talking about Adam and Eve.
Okay.
And then he spends another like 5 pages talking about yin yang and Taoism. And then he spends another 7 or 8 pages talking about chaos versus order.
Okay.
And then eventually he comes back around to his point. I'm like, Dr. Peterson.
Maybe we should outline our chapters before we start writing our chapters.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
But part of the reason I bought them is because I'd watched a video about his second book. Because his first book was written like at the height of his popularity and cultural relevance. Mm-hmm. And the second book has been written after his wife's cancer battle, his own addiction to prescription medication, and his own struggle with COVID. So I'm super fascinated to see how his priorities shift and what he chooses to focus on in the sequel.
And how many emoticons he uses. And if they're all smiling this time.
Yeah. No, and it's... I enjoy reading books, and I enjoy reading books that other people might be, like, extremely judgmental, but I still felt like I had to, like, tuck the book under my arm as I left and be like, I'm just reading to see what he says. I'm not, like... I don't kiss the man's feet.
Yep.
I just want to see what he says.
I'm currently slowly, painfully reading Atlas Shrugged, and I feel the same way. A couple people notice Atlas Shrugged on my nightstand, and it's like, "Are you?" And I'm like, "No." I'm just reading the book.
Reading it for myself.
I'll read The Fountainhead next. Don't judge me.
The Fountainhead is like, or no, Anthem is Atlas Shrugged, but the short version.
Anthem.
Also by Ayn Rand.
Oh, that's right. She wrote more than 2 books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
And, like, at the time when I read Atlas Shrugged, I'm like, I totally get it. If I grew up in the USSR and I finally had a chance to, like, write something, I would write a 1,200-page book about why my home country sucked.
That's fair. That's a good way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah, but then, of course, it's the same thing happened with 1984. Like, when I first read 1984, I really enjoyed it. And people get weird about books like that, and they just reference it. It's like, stop. Read another
it's so
book,
Orwellian.
please.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Oh, it's not. And honestly,
really?
I like Animal Farm more than 1984.
Animal Farm is really good. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know. I just read books. Sometimes I just like going to the library. I like going to the library more than I like reading. Just because just stacks of books. They're just so cool. You just walk down an aisle, you get the vague sense of what the aisle is about.
Mm-hmm.
And you just pick off a book, and it's like, hello. What's this? What are some of the weirder ones? There are a couple aisles dedicated to, like, raising children, and there are a lot of weird ones in there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of outdated ones because libraries never throw away books, nor should they.
Yeah. So like, you could go in there and read, like, a first edition Dr. Spock book.
Yeah. And the Chicago Public Library is huge. The Harold Washington Library. It's massive. It's no New York library, but still, it's big. And there's a whole floor like dedicated to archived periodicals. They're like bound periodicals, like thick ass volumes of just National Geographic for like this 1 year, and it's so cool because it's all there.
Yeah.
And I am a child of the internet, right? I do my research on the internet. I look things up on the internet, but sometimes I guess it's nice in nonfiction reference books is usually what I mean when I say nonfiction, but reference books. It's all in one place because I don't know what I don't know in most cases when I'm like just going down a path. And the internet, despite all of its organization, if you find a book that kind of is that like has everything you need in it in the order you need it, there are so many books. You're bound to find one that is of that. It's just it's so nice because then you don't have to grapple for information. You can, and the book is obviously a jumping off point to more, I guess, up to date, current, relevant, and detailed information from the internet. But still, even still, right?
Oh yeah.
To have all that information in one place, bound. It's nice.
And it's stuff like that that's like that's what degrees of like library science are for. Because I think when we think of librarians, we underestimate what all they know, and part of it is being able to be like, oh, you need information about this. We know exactly where to start.
Yes, 100%. Librarians are crazy good at knowing how to research, not necessarily doing the research itself, but how to research. It's amazing, underutilized resource, but
very much so.
Yeah. Especially by me, I just wander around.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just browsing. It's fine.
It's whatever.
I don't know what I want to know, so we're gonna find out.
Yeah. Then using the internet to find books, I feel like is even harder than just walking through stacks.
I've run into this problem because I'm trying to find a very specific book, and I think we even talked about this last time. And I have no idea where to begin. And
is it not like available as like a digital book?
It might be. Like, I read it when I was anywhere from like
that
9 to 13. Yeah.
The one where you have that one's like you don't even know the topic of that book. That one's like you are starting from less than a blank slate. You don't even have a slate to blank. Yeah. Exactly.
And I tried, there's a subreddit called What's That Book that I thought would help me, and no one knew.
But you have no recollection of the book.
I remembered very specifically a picture of a man with a like necklace of toes around his neck. And that it was a children's fiction book, but it had real photographs in it, so I spent a whole night searching Wikipedia for people that didn't exist.
That could be anything. A necklace of toes? Like actual toes or things that looked like toes?
Actual toes. That was like, I think he was some sort of like warlord type character. The book was hardcover, had one of those like elastic bands around it, red and black cover.
Necklace of toes. There can't be many of those. I'm surprised you haven't found it by now.
I know. Because I thought, I was like, oh, this is the detail that will bring it to me, and that it never did.
Yeah, that's a shame, huh?
Yeah. Because I've gone back through some of the books that I remember from childhood, and I've gone and bought them, like the what's the series? The Edge Chronicles. I recently went and bought the first 4 books of the Edge Chronicles series because I vividly remember those books. The illustrations were really cool. And I just remembered like it had like the maps and it was super dense and there were multiple timelines. And so I was super stoked to find them. And yeah, with this other one, I have not had the same luck.
I believe in you. Someday, somehow, you will find this book. You and this book will be reunited. You will be reunited with Toe Necklace Man, and you will see what shenanigans and hijinks that Toe Necklace Man gets up to. Cutting off toes, I presume.
Probably. I think that's like a side hustle.
Yeah, the
Sells
book,
them on Etsy.
Legend of the Toe Man by Quentin Tarantino.
Oh no. Well, you can't spell toes without Quentin Tarantino.
That's true. Hey.
You can't spell toe. No. You can't spell Quentin Tarantino without toe.
And don't you forget it. I was sent a gift the other day of that scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where Margot Robbie's enjoying the movie, eating her popcorn. Yeah. And I think someone, I couldn't tell at first, but someone photoshopped in, a pair of dirty bare feet up on the seat in front. Like they were her feet, like she was... Like,
is that not? I thought she literally does that in the scene.
I can't tell. I don't know. I don't
No,
recall.
she puts her feet up on the seat.
That's real? I thought someone photoshopped
No,
feet
that's
in.
the scene.
Quentin, buddy, stop it.
It's self-parody at this point. Because I think Quali, is that her last name? Like, she puts her feet up in the windows, too.
Quentin, stop.
He can't.
Quentin.
We will demand, why do you film so many women's feet? And he will say... Sorry, it's thunderstorming here. But he will say... Because it's so much fun, Jan, and it won't matter that our names aren't Jan.
That's true. That's true. It's... I mean, I guess if you're into feet, filming them has got to be fun. Really makes you wonder how Cuties were made, though, right? How was that film made?
Unethically.
Ah, well, hey, that's a start. That's an adjective, yeah. Yeah, I know. Be in the feet. It's a benign thing to be in. You do you, Quentin. I don't know. Keep churning out the good films. Give me some more Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh yeah.
That's where he shines in Quentin Tarantino films.
It's very good.
Yes.
Speaking of being sent gifts,
Oh.
Were we sent the gift of money this week?
Well, Lauren, I'm happy to report that this episode of Steaming Pile was. Hang on, I got the second shot today, right? I don't know if you can see my.
Oh yeah.
I have a sore arm, and it's sometimes it just smarts. All right. Anyway. Anyway, this episode of Steaming Pile is brought to you by Microsoft. They didn't pay for this. This isn't an actual sponsor segment. I just want to give them a shout out, right? Oh man, am I happy to own a Microsoft Surface. Two Microsoft Surfaces. I am so happy to own these devices and a computer that runs Microsoft Windows and the Microsoft Office framework. It's the best operating system and Office software package that man has ever devised. Let me tell you, every time I turn on my computer, it's a treat. To see all those programs have closed overnight, all my unsaved work gone, and my computer up to date with the latest patches. It just warms my heart to know that the gang in Redmond, Washington, they really care about me. And I Lauren?
Yeah.
Lauren, get out. Get out!
Oh, okay.
Get out! Microsoft.com for all the latest news in tech innovations and Microsoft Windows, Office, and Azure. Log in today. So, thank you, Microsoft. I often wonder, right? Now that I've gotten my second shot, I wonder who gets my biometric data in the divorce.
That's a good question. I was the fact that we weren't sponsored. It did make me wonder if like you were trying to to get in and be like Bill's rebound.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say no. I mean, I'm not gay, but a net worth of $138 billion is a net worth of $138 billion.
I'm gonna check on my vaccine appointment based on what I've seen tonight.
Whew. Man, is it hot in here? I should really get a Windows phone, huh? Man. They're so good, those phones. Oh, man, the Nokia Lumia. Oh, the Carl Zeiss Optics, Lauren.
Ah.
Apple's got nothing on that. They're sapphire.
Oh. Garbage. Speaking of, we've reached the bottom of that garbage. This has been another episode of Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I've been Lauren.
And I've been Tucker. I've been Tucker.
And maybe we'll see you all next time.